My A1C was up here. Now it's down with Rebelsis.
His A1C?
This is the only week I cooperated. And it was bad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Yellow Day at Unity of Palmyra, where centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. We are an open and affirming community. We love you exactly as you are in all of your magnificent glory, and we're so happy that you've joined us here today. I think I saw some food going downstairs this morning, so please do stay and join us for fellowship so we can break bread together as one. So let's take just a moment to go into prayer. And as always, we begin by simply breathing. To breathe, to be inspired, to ground ourselves, to center ourselves in this moment. We are right here, right now. The past is done. The future's over there somewhere. We have no regrets and no worries. We are fully present to the joy found in this now moment. And so we take a moment to simply clear our minds, open our hearts, as we welcome a conscious awareness of spirit. And as always, we enter into this experience with gratitude as we say thank you for this time to come apart for a while, to remember the truth of who we are, that we are spiritual beings having an incredibly, wonderfully interesting human experience. We say thank you for whatever safe space you are in this morning, whether you are physically here with us in this building or whether you are joining us through the ethers on Facebook or YouTube. Everyone is welcome here. And then finally, we say thank you. Thank you for one another. Thank you for this beloved community so committed to making a difference in the world. And so it is. Amen. Let's stand. May we light the candle we now kindle. Inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to hurt, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Divine Spirit. Let's sing.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remember it's like I've been sleeping for years, not awake as I can be, but my seeing is better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and watching only half of the show. There is scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good that it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart.
Centered in love, we embrace a
positive path
for spiritual living. And our mission, wherever we go, we provide a welcoming community that inspires and encourages all who gather here through the teaching, sharing, and practice of universal spiritual principles. And one of the ways that we practice those principles is to honor wherever you are, on your hugging journey. So if you want a hug from Chewbacca, we will bring it on in. If you're more comfortable with the handshake, we will honor that. And if you want us to leave you completely alone, that's perfectly okay. We totally understand. We will respect whatever bubble that you create around yourself. Have a great time. And may the Force be with you.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Remind Sam that he's a prayer chaplain, so you can put a stroll.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Loud and clear. Our soul is welcome here. Don't make me sing more, you guys. All right, so a couple of announcements. So first of all, Ellen and Hal, would you stand up, please? I need everyone to check out their T-shirts.
Yay! Woohoo!
Aww. So for those of you watching online, their shirts say, "The Force is strong in my family." And they match, which is, of course, just adorable. How long have you guys been married? 48 years of... So, thanks. Just had to acknowledge that. So now, on to announcements. Our prayer chaplains today are Helen Baker and Linda Longenecker, who are both over here, and Sam Sherman, who is in the back pew. So they will be holding sacred space for us during the service today, and they will also be available over in that nice, quiet corner for anyone who would like one-on-one prayer after the service. And if you've never availed yourself of prayer with a prayer chaplain, it's super sweet. I really encourage you to do so. They just hold a wonderful space for us. So our movie for next week is going to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and that will be shown. I know, Becky's very excited. I was actually thinking I needed to send her my talk ahead of time so she could approve it to make sure that I covered all the high points. So that'll be shown next Friday in Holy Grounds at 7 p.m. for those of you who have not seen Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And you know what? Don't raise your hand. I don't want to know. Okay? You got to do it. Our next Sounds of the Sanctuary with Gwen is on May 17th, which is also a Friday at 7 p.m. We are accepting yard sale donations, and boy, did we have an influx this morning. Woo-hoo! Right up until May 29th. But really, the sooner the better, because it does take quite a long time for the team to sort and price everything. And we are also taking orders for custom personalized Mother's Day mugs, if anybody would like to order one of those. I don't think, did you want to say anything, Linda? Yes. Okay.
They are looking good, they're clean, we so appreciate that. The other thing is, you may notice, if you look through the rose room, there are some dishes there, and we do have a no dishes policy this year. However, before we got that information out, a lot of the donations came in way back before Christmas, so obviously we're not going to send them back. Hopefully we can sell them. But I just wanted to express the apparent inconsistency with our donation guidelines and what you're seeing. Like I said, we appreciate everything that's been donated, but I'd also like you to consider on June 1st, that's our yard sale date, donating your time. We need lots of people, volunteers, to make this Saturday work and go smoothly. So think about that. It's from 7 to 1. We need a few people to come in earlier than that to set up, especially if we have some things outside. And then we also need people to stay afterwards to pack up. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Linda. The yard sale, first of all, it's very fun to be on the team because there's a lot of laughter. And yard sale day is also actually a lot of fun. We have people in through the entire building, and we get to chat and talk and take their money. It's just really wonderful. Yeah. And we will be here early so that the coffee will be ready before you show up to do whatever help you can do. So thank you. Anything else? I think we're good. We had a very rich, full hug meeting last week, so hopefully you were there and got all of the announcements and lift updates. We are up to over $10,000 for the lift at this point, and we also saw some more coming in this morning. So we're just going to keep updating it, and we'll let you know if any of the grants come in. We'll keep you posted, but we are just so thrilled with your response to this very important part of us being a welcoming community. One of the things we talked about, we had a wonderful Unity 101 last Sunday. So many great questions. It was just super. Lots of heart-to-heart conversations. And one of the things that Jeff and I got to share was that one of the many very practical reasons we need this lift, right? But there was also a values-based reason that we need this lift. Because, we can't say that we're a welcoming community, which is in our mission, and we can't say that we're accepting and compassionate, right, if you can't join us for fellowship. So this was also, in addition to all the many practical reasons we needed it, this is about us being in integrity with our mission and our core values. So thank you so much for taking that lift of faith. All right. Rick, would you like to read the daily word?
Good morning.
And our affirmation is, I call upon the infinite peace of God inside. I find peace in the beauty around me. A clear day, flowers swaying in the breeze, a gently flowing stream, all reveal the presence of God and reflect my inner nature. Lasting peace resides within my heart and mind. If that peace is temporarily disturbed, the If I'm feeling out of sorts about my life or about a situation of a dear one, I draw upon my strength and stability by turning away from outer circumstances and going within. I quiet the chatter of my mind, perhaps thinking of one of my peaceful places, imagining the breeze caressing my face and hearing the trickling stream. In this quiet state, I connect with my source and begin to feel a settling calmness. I consider my life from this higher perspective and remain centered and serene no matter what is happening in my life or in the world. Our Bible verse today is from the book of John, chapter 20, verse 26. Peace be with you.
I am home, my family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
I love that song. So let's begin our prayer time today with gratitude. I know no better path to inner peace than gratitude. And so bring to mind something for which you are deeply, exquisitely grateful. It might just be something that makes you happy. Something that causes you to feel fulfilled or content. Something that has brought meaning to your life. Or even a sense of harmony. For all of these experiences lead to inner peace. The power of gratitude is that when we are focused on what we appreciate, what we have to be grateful for, it's very hard to see anything else. It's hard to complain about what we don't have or about what isn't working when all of our energy is focused on how much we do have and everything in our lives that is working. Everything in our lives that is beautiful and true. And the not so secret is we get to choose. We get to choose what we focus on in our life and in our prayers. We get to choose what we believe. And then we get to act upon those beliefs. We get to live those beliefs. So take a deep breath and focus on what you have to be grateful for. And when you're clear, whisper it out loud. Give voice to it. There is power and strength in our words. And so if you are experiencing a challenge right now in this moment, I invite you to drop that challenge into the energy of gratitude. Where is the opportunity? Where is the gift? Where is that blessing? We remember that to bless means to find the good in something. So how can you bless this challenge? How can you learn and grow from this experience? And if you are experiencing joy in this moment, I invite you to surround whatever it is you're grateful for with that joy and feel that joy increase. Feel it expand beyond your physical body into this space, beyond these walls, so that anyone walking or driving by this building right now finds that they have an unexplainable desire to smile and know that you did that. That's the power of gratitude. And as always, we know that together or apart, we are forever connected at the heart. And so it is. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. I'm so impulsive to a fault. I want the opposite of what I got. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. I know they say there's greener grass. For me, it's never about that. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. My favorite hobby, self-sabotage, can never seem to make my mind up. Change my opinion more than my size. Let me tell you about the time I took my friend out the friend zone, 'cause I felt so sad sleeping alone that I put him right back just like that, 'cause I missed being by myself. I am so impulsive to a fault. I want the opposite of what I've got. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. I know they say there's greener grass. For me, it's never about that. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. One day I like you, then the next I don't. Can never seem to make my mind up, but I can't help it, it's out of my control. So let me tell you about the time I took my friend out the friend zone, 'cause I felt so sad sleeping alone. Put him right back just like that, 'cause I missed being by myself. I am so impulsive to a fault. I want the opposite of what I've got. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. I know they say there's greener grass. For me, it's never about that. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. Oh, I am so impulsive to a fault. I want the opposite of what I've got. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. And now they say there's greener grass. For me, it's never about that. The second I get bored, I switch it up, making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. Oh.
So clearly we had some fun picking the music for today. Making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts. Okay, I just want to say that is the opposite of wisdom. All right? So we're starting out with opposites. So welcome to our third spiritual power this spring. Remember, we're doing 6 of the 12 powers. And the 12 powers were those qualities of the Christ consciousness that Charles Fillmore discerned over 100 years ago. So in other words, when we are demonstrating these qualities such as faith and strength and love and wisdom and understanding and will and power, next week is the power of power, and it's Harry Potter. So when we are demonstrating all of those qualities, then we are fully into our inner Christ. We are fully demonstrating those qualities, those abilities, those powers that Charles Fillmore observed in Jesus. So today is the power of wisdom. The dictionary defines wisdom as knowledge and good judgment based on experience or the quality of being wise. So wise implies having knowledge and understanding of people and of what is true and right in life and conduct. Remember, this is not about just what we know. Wisdom is about applying it. So wisdom is showing sound judgment in applying our knowledge. So in the 12 powers of man, which I will not make you read for this series, Charles Fillmore says, wisdom includes judgment, discrimination, intuition, and all of the departments of mind that come under the head of knowing. So with some of these powers, we have different words, like for release, you can use release or elimination. So in some teachings, wisdom is referred to as judgment. I prefer wisdom because the word judgment has kind of gotten a bad rap in our society, hasn't it? Oh, don't be so judgmental. Right? And a lot of that actually comes from judge not lest ye be judged, right? So let's give a different translation to that, because an earlier, more accurate translation was condemn not lest ye be condemned. Because in this context, judgment is a good thing. Well, let me put it, good judgment is a good thing. Right? And how do we get to good judgment? Bad judgment, right? As we just heard Becky sing so beautifully, you know, for better or worse, part of the human experience is we develop wisdom and good judgment because we really make bad decisions sometimes and bad choices sometimes. I love one of my favorite lines from that is about being impulsive, right? We're going to talk a little bit about monkey mind this morning because, again, opposite of wisdom. But I also like making bad decisions based on temporary thoughts, right? we tend to make bad decisions when we don't take a breath and take a minute to really look at the thought that is prompting us. And I'm going to give you some hints on how to do that in a little bit. So we want to think of judgment as a good thing and as the power of discernment. So we also have learned, as we did with faith and strength, that many of these powers pair up, okay? So wisdom pairs up with the power of love. This is a very important collaboration. In fact, remember, each power has been assigned one of the disciples, right, from Charles Fillmore. So wisdom is James, and his brother John is love. So the combination of wisdom and love is a wonderful example of connecting our head with our, exactly, or our intellect, right, with our heart, with our feelings. Wisdom without love can become kind of academic, right? Like, well, I know that, right? I can quote chapter and verse these scriptures, right? But love without wisdom can become codependent, right? We can become enabling. What we want to do is combine wisdom and love so that our love is wise and our wisdom is compassionate. So years ago, I remember when I was on the national staff, I remember the CEO when I was on the staff was James Trapp. And he said something that really impacted me, which was kind of an illustration of what I'm about to tell you he said. He said, there's information that informs, and then there is information that transforms. So what we're looking at here in wisdom is wisdom seeks out that information, that knowledge, when connected with the heart, transforms. So it's not just information. It's information that lands here, that changes us at depth. So Charles Fillmore used King Solomon as a wonderful example of wisdom in action, and he writes this: Solomon, when asked by the Lord what he should give him, chose wisdom above riches and honor. He knew then that all other things would be added. Solomon was also a great judge. He had a rare intuition, and he used it freely in arriving at his judgments. So he didn't just base his judgments, his rulings, let's call them his rulings, on information. He combined that with intuition, with heart. He did not rest his investigations on mere facts, but sought out the inner motives. In the case of the two women who claimed the same infant, he commanded an attendant to bring a sword and to cut the child in half and give a half to each woman. Of course, the real mother begged him not to do this, and he knew at once that she was the mother. So my friend Cindy Wigglesworth, you guys have heard me talk about Cindy, especially in the context of our spiral dynamics work together. She is a legitimate expert on spiritual intelligence and spiral dynamics. So the way that she looks at this is she sees wisdom on a spectrum. She says there's information, right? So there's data, right? And then there's information. Information is where we've sorted the data. Okay, so we've been presented with a whole bunch of data, of stimulus, so now we are informed because we're sorting it. Well, then knowledge is about how we apply the information. So we go from data to information to knowledge. Wisdom builds on the knowledge and is knowledge guided by compassion. And wisdom takes action. So that brings us to, it's your destiny, Luke. That brings us to The Empire Strikes Back. And again, I don't want to know if you've never seen it, because I'll just be so disappointed in you that it really would impact my impression of you as a human. So don't tell me. Okay, so The Empire Strikes Back is the second movie in, okay, this is a little confusing, but in what became the second trilogy, but was really the first trilogy that was released when I was a freshman in college. You don't even bother doing the math, it will take you too long. So the first movie was Star Wars: A New Hope, right? We had to add A New Hope later because then were more Star Wars. This was Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, and then the third in this trilogy was Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. Ken and I believe, and it is kind of a common consensus among all these sci-fi nerds, that the best movie of all of them is this one, right? It's one of those rare cases where a sequel is even better than the original, all right? So I think it's safe to say that Star Wars is part of our modern mythology, right? Think of it as a mythology. And it makes sense because when George Lucas was writing this original trilogy that's now in the middle, he studied with Joseph Campbell. And Joseph Campbell is considered the quintessential expert on what's called the hero's journey. And of course, the hero's journey is what we all go through in our lives. And there are various stages of that journey that we see acted out in all of them, but particularly Luke. So Luke is kind of considered the hero in this hero's journey. And then eventually we also get to see how Luke and Anakin's journey collide, right? And how their journeys become one. So there's also a relationship between Luke and Yoda, and Luke and Obi-Wan. And part of this is also part of the hero's journey, where once we leave the safety, once we leave our comfort zone and we embark on our journey, we seek out companions and mentors, right? So Luke had two very powerful mentors in Obi-Wan and in Yoda. And then, of course, his companions were Han and Chewbacca and Leia and the droids. Don't forget the droids. So the relationship between Luke and Yoda got off on kind of a rocky start, didn't it? Right? Luke was belligerent with Yoda. He didn't know that he was Yoda. He was downright disdainful of this, what he considered to be this little troll who was just so beautifully played by Frank Oz. So, spoilers, Yoda was a Muppet. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just spoiled it for you. So I think this is the one of the first really powerful lessons from this relationship is we question that wisdom can come in this form and in this shape and in this size. This is why Yoda is usually up there with all the other symbols and with all the other spiritual masters, because Yoda teaches us that wisdom can come in very unconventional forms. So Yoda understood that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and you're going to hear that in the clip that we're going to see in a little bit. So he also understood that part of that was that Luke's training, that the Jedi training had to be very holistic. That yes, Luke needed to learn how to tap into the Force, and yes, Luke needed to learn to meditate and to ground himself and to center himself, but he also had to be physically sound. So Yoda made him work out, right? He made him exercise. He made him run and jump with the little troll on his back, right? And he made him meditate. And he tried really hard to get him to be patient. Probably Yoda's biggest task was to get Luke to be more patient, because Luke, just like we heard, in his impulsivity, was making bad decisions. And so part of his training was to take a breath. It got to the point where they realized, Yoda and Obi-Wan, who came back in, ghostly woo form, that they realized that at some point in his training, Luke had just enough knowledge to be dangerous. So notice he wasn't yet wise. He had just enough knowledge to be a little dangerous. Yoda also taught Luke that the cave he fears to enter hold the treasure that he seeks. Right? Remember the cave scene? Now, our caves aren't that literal, but we all have places that we fear to go. And we all have things that we fear to do. And words that we fear to say. Yoda said to Luke, you must go into that cave. You must do that thing that you are most afraid of. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, at least she was attributed with this, that said, do one thing that scares you every day. How amazing would our lives be if we did that? Now, this doesn't have to be huge, you guys. I'm not talking about bungee jumping off a cliff, okay? No. But a little thing that scares you. Maybe sticking up for a friend. Maybe taking a deep breath and stepping off that cliff, whatever your metaphorical cliff is. Because one of the things that Yoda understood was that while acknowledgement and affirmation are important, right? It's very important that we get the Atta girls and the Atta boys, or as Gretchen Rubin says, that we get the gold stars, right? Everybody loves getting gold stars, right? But what Yoda realized and what wisdom realizes is what really makes us feel good about ourselves is when we overcome. When we do something we haven't done before. When we feel the fear and do it anyway. Yoda knew that, and that's what he was trying to instill into Luke. We also have to be willing to unlearn what we have learned. That means we have to be willing to let go of our most closely held thoughts, beliefs, and opinions, our BS, our belief system, right? The only way we can learn something new, the only way we can truly wake up is to be willing to let go of what we think we know. Right? It's that old story of the master filling the teacup and it overflowing and overflowing and overflowing because the student that came to him was so full of himself, he couldn't learn anything new. So I'm going to switch genres for just a minute because I want to read you a brief excerpt from the unauthorized Starfleet Daily Meditation Manual. It is a real thing, and I do read it. So it's every day, it's a quote from one of the Star Trek characters. I know I'm crossing the streams, don't cross the streams. This one is from September 27th, and the quote is from Data, the android. And he says, the beginning of wisdom is, I do not know. And so this is what the message was. Look again. It's not that Data is confused about our concept of wisdom. He knows exactly where wisdom begins, by openly admitting that it's, I do not know. A similar statement can be found in a 5,000-year-old Bajoran text and in the ancient record of Terra's most famous gadfly, Socrates. The truly wise man, as Socrates described him, is he who knows just how ignorant he is, which doesn't mean stupid. In fact, stupidity is usually an attribute of the individual who thinks he knows everything. This person is open to very little and can be taught very little and will consequently grow very little. In contrast, it is our frank admission that we are ignorant of so much compared to what there is to know, which starts us down the path of knowledge and wisdom. It's our willingness to live with partial answers along the way which keeps us open to new information. It's our joyful acceptance that learning never ends, which keeps us growing, improving, and alive. Now that's wise. And then every day there's an affirmation. It's kind of like a Star Trek daily word, kind of, on the bottom. And this says, I will cheerfully admit when I do not know something. I will ask questions and I will open myself to the truth wherever it may lead. Now notice the word there, cheerfully. Not kicking, screaming, gnashing my teeth, and making it hard for whoever is trying to teach me something, right? cheerfully. I cheerfully do that. So Luke had to learn that. He had to unlearn what he'd already learned. He had to open his mind. Because initially, Luke's head was so full of what he thought he already knew that Yoda couldn't teach him anything. There was no room for it to get in there. He had to let go of his preconception of what a Jedi master looked like. He had even said to Yoda at one point that he thought a Jedi meant fighting great battles in great wars. And Yoda laughed when he heard that, and he said to Luke, "Wars not make one great." So Yoda uses his appearance to teach Luke some very valuable lessons, and that's the clip you're going to see this morning.
No. We'll never get it out now.
So certain are you?
Dan, can you flip the lights off?
Always with you what cannot be done. Do you nothing that I say?
Master, moving stones around is one thing. This is totally different.
No, no different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
I can't. It's too big.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? And where you should not. For my ally is the Force. And a powerful ally it is. Life cleaves it. Makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us. Combines us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and the ship.
You want the impossible. I don't believe it.
It's why you fail.
Ah, don't you just love John Williams? That score is just incredible. So Yoda was trying to teach Luke about the holographic nature of the universe. That there aren't little things and big things. There are just things. There's not little energy and big energy. There's just energy. He was trying to show Luke that there was no difference between moving the rocks and moving the ship. It was how much of that universal life force are we willing to allow to flow through us. He also was trying to teach Luke that he really needed to take his training seriously. He said, a Jedi must have the deepest commitment to his training, which reminds me of the strength, the conviction, the persistence of the power of strength, which we looked at last week. So he kind of scolded him for always wanting to take the quick and easy path. He said, that's the path to the dark side. That's the path to evil. Luke always wanted to jump from A to Z without going through the process. He wanted the wisdom, but he didn't want the experience required to gain the wisdom. We are not this crude matter. Luminous beings are we. So that's Yoda speak for, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Who knew Yoda was unity? Now sometimes it's hard. This is your how-to part of this morning, okay? Sometimes it's hard to differentiate between our monkey mind, that chatter that Becky sang about so beautifully, because that whole song was all about monkey mind, like what happens when we listen to that chatter, and our inner voice of wisdom, because they're both part of us, right? They both come from our mind, our heart, our spirit. So it can sound like us. So sometimes monkey mind can sound downright wise. And you might say, well, okay, that sounds really awful, Steph. Like, how do I know the difference then? You know the difference by feeling the energy. Pay less attention to the words and more attention to the energy. Because the energy of monkey mind is very rigid. It's very defensive. It's very my way or the highway. There's no sense of possibility. You delight in making other people wrong. Monkey mind really has no sense of humor, right? I always know when my monkey's swinging because Ken asked me if I need a Snickers bar, right? Low blood sugar can make your monkey mind go crazy, just so you know, right? So there's a closing around your heart. There's a hardness there. It can even make us cynical, right? But our inner voice of wisdom has a gentle energy. It's spacious, it's compassionate, it's loving. Our heart softens and opens. There's a sense of possibility. So even if the words are the same, the energy is very different. And so in this movie and in subsequent movies, especially in this one, Luke really exemplifies the energy of monkey mind, doesn't he? He's impulsive, he's rash, he wants everything right now. Yoda exemplifies that inner source of wisdom. He taught Luke, you find that wisdom and you will know the good from the bad by feeling the energy. So it reminds me of that, that story that we've heard before about the Native American grandfather and his grandchild. Remember that one about the grandchild saying, grandfather, I have two wolves inside of me and they're always fighting, and he says that the one wolf represents fear and anger and envy and regret and greed and arrogance. We could call that the dark side. The other stands for joy and peace and love and hope and sharing and empathy and compassion and friendship and generosity and truth and compassion and faith. Oh my, right? We could call that the light side of the force. So the grandfather asked the child, This fight actually goes on within every one of us. And the child thought about it and said, well, which wolf is going to win? And the old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. So what thoughts are we feeding? And what voice in our head are we feeding? And what choices are we making? Are those choices based on wisdom or not? So we, in Unity, we don't believe in a literal heaven or hell, but boy, we can sure create them here, can't we? And the creation of those is a reflection of which wolf we're feeding. So we do eventually meet Anakin. We meet Anakin, Luke's father, right? It's at the end of this movie, spoilers, that we learn that Darth Vader is actually Luke's father, right? I am your father, Luke, right? So we see that, again, Anakin had his own hero's journey, and although he got all the same training that Luke got, in fact, he started getting that training much earlier. He had exactly the same mentors. In fact, he had more mentors. He had Obi-Wan and Yoda and a whole council of Jedi Masters to train him. At one point, Anakin listened to the other wolf, and he went to the dark side. He allowed his anger to overwhelm him. Yoda taught, beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression, the dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. But once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny, and consume you it will. So when we get to the end of Anakin's journey, which we see in Return of the Jedi, we actually can align it with another part of the hero's journey. And this one is called Atonement with the Father, or At One-ment with the Father. So this is part of our return. We've been through our journey, we've gotten our mentors and our companions, and we've been through trials, and we've learned, and we've grown wise, and now we are returning. So in that end scene, that penultimate scene in Return of the Jedi, Luke made a different choice than his father made. When offered absolute power by the Emperor said, all you have to do is kill your father and take his place by my side, and we will rule the universe. And even though he was tired and he had just had the stuff beat out of him, and he was very sad, Luke closed up his lightsaber, which in the hero's journey is the equivalent of laying down your sword, and he said, I will not do it. You've lost, Your Highness. I will not kill my father. So Luke knew that the final step of his hero's journey wasn't in killing his father, but finally reconciling and becoming one with his father. And when he made that choice, Anakin finally woke up after decades of succumbing to the dark side. It woke up that goodness that had always been in him throughout the whole third movie, Return of the Jedi. Luke keeps saying to Anakin, I feel the goodness in you, Father. The Force in Luke could feel that there was still a kernel of goodness in his father. He saw past his appearance. And Anakin had a literal mask, right? But Luke saw through the mask to the man and the goodness in that man. And in that moment, Anakin picked up the Emperor and destroyed him in the heart of the Death Star. So in Luke making that decision, he didn't just save himself. He saved his father. And we see that he also saved his sister, Leia. Matthew Fox wrote, when we are joyous and full of heart, we are emanating wisdom. Wisdom is not in the head, but in the heart and the gut. And that's where compassion is felt. So that's the power of wisdom. And that's the wisdom of Yoda. Let's take that into meditation.
As far as my eyes can see, there are shadows approaching me. And to those I left behind, I wanted you to know you've always shared my deepest thoughts. You follow where I go. And oh, when I'm old and wise, bitter words mean little to me. Autumn winds will blow right through me. And someday, in the midst of time, when they asked me if I knew you, I'd smile and say you were a friend of mine, and the sadness would be lifted from my eyes. Oh, when I'm old and wise, as far as my eyes can see, there are shadows surrounding me. And to those I leave behind, I want you all to know you've always shared my darkest hours. I miss you when I go. And oh, when I'm old and wise, heavy words that tossed and blew me like autumn winds will blow right through me. And someday, in the midst of time, when they ask you if you knew me, remember that you were a friend of mine. As the final curtain falls before my eyes, oh, when I'm old and wise, as far as my eyes can see, as far as my eyes can see.
And so we breathe. We breathe into the beautiful energy of that song. We breathe into our own innate inner wisdom. We breathe into that place of compassion and understanding. We breathe into that connection of wisdom and love, of head and heart, into that place of wholeness where who we are, what we think, what we say, and what we do are in perfect alignment. For that is the space where our wisdom can emerge. It is in that open, loving, compassionate space that the difference we are here to make becomes clear, becomes obvious. Not from a place of trying to impress with all we know, but from that place of wanting only to serve from the wisdom our experience has gained us. And so I invite you to take just a moment in the silence, in that quiet, still place, where that very quiet voice can be heard. And from that place of wisdom, we make wise choices. We still that voice of urgency and fear, and we make decisions and take action based on wisdom. And although it seems sometimes that we have to be old to be wise, the truth is at any moment on our hero's journey, we can tap into and express the incredible wisdom of the Force.
And someday, in the midst of time, when they ask me if you knew me, remember that you were a friend of mine. And as the final curtain falls before my eyes, oh, when I'm old and wise, as far as the eye can see,
That was beautiful. Alan Parsons Project, go figure. So this is the part of our service where we thank you so much for your continuing generosity in the sharing of your time, talent, and treasure. If you are new to Unity of Palmyra, we do not pass the basket anymore. We gave that up with COVID. There's a basket in the back if you have paper, and there's all sorts of ways to send whatever your gift is through the ethers. And we are so incredibly grateful for your ongoing commitment and support of the work of this community. It's very, very important in the world today. So we have something a little different today. Janie found a perfect piece for our closing song, except it's not a song. So we have to just play it, and I hope you enjoy it. And let's turn
Ladies
all
and
the lights off,
gentlemen
guys, so they can
of the class of '99, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much, or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance. So are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but in your own living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with a precious few, you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund, maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse. But you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen.
So was that perfect for wisdom? And really, you know, knowing this community as I do, it really hit many of us, didn't it? You know, the elders, the siblings, the knees. I'm just saying. Yeah. All right. So let's stand now and share in our unity blessing and make sure we bless those who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube. All right, together. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. All right, claim your power, folks.
I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. Every day I'm wasting my time thinking that someone else is gonna do it all for me. I've got to get up, get it, just get started. Take one step towards my destiny. I'll define my direction with clear-cut intention. Declare what will be, and then watch it come from me. I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. There are days when I feel that I'm just no good. Days that I don't even want to try. But when I stop, look, listen, and surrender, I hear a voice of truth I cannot deny. It says, you know you can do it, just get down to it. Have faith in yourself and a will to see it through. I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. In those times when I feel so frightened and it seems like I just can't go on, I've got to look deep inside, 'cause that's where I find the power, the power, the power inside of me. I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to do anything I want. I've got the power inside of me.
Oh, I think that's the best you've done yet. Good job. I know you're trying. Thanks. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is Go forth this week, tap into your inner wisdom, and may the force be with you always. Please come downstairs and join us for fellowship. We have coffee and tea and all sorts of goodies. I think Marie and Chris are down there putting it out right now. Come on down.
I loved that message. That was awesome.
How you doing? Good. How about yourself? Good. Good.
Oh.
You where else? I'm gonna run downstairs and talk to that couple.